All right, good morning. We're here with Rebecca from Oklahoma State. She's going to fill us in on all things marketing at the collegiate level. So, Rebecca, let's start with a short bio from you today.
Well, I'm excited to be here and talk to this class today. I am originally a native from Cleveland, Ohio, so born and raised there, was a former student athlete at the Division II collegiate level. I played on the women's soccer team at a small Division II called Ashland University. That's really where I got my start for working in athletics. I was a work study student, got that hands-on experience, and what really kind of drove me in the direction of wanting to explore the sports marketing side of thing and the collegiate athletic side. I was a marketing major with a minor in sport management at the undergrad level. And then I went on to be a graduate assistant at the University of Akron, where I was a marketing and promotions graduate assistant. And I got my master's in sport administration there. After completing my master's, I've been at a number of stops at different levels at the collegiate level, where I've been in a number of different roles between marketing assistants, director of marketing, director of game day experience, with stops at the Ohio State University, SMU, UTEP, and then Penn State, and now most recently Oklahoma State, where I'm the assistant AD of marketing and fan engagement here.
Awesome. So, how does your role differ from coming right out of college to where you are now, coming right out of
Definitely,
grad school?
absolutely. So just the climate of college athletics has just shifted. I graduated in 2016, so 10 years ago now with my master's, and just the changing of how college athletics has been. More hands-on when you were more of a fan engagement, fan experience focused, has now shifted more to the revenue generation side, where everything is how do you get butts in seats? How do you make money? And how are you best representing your athletes and giving them different NIL opportunities? So the changing climate with NIL and rev generation has just skyrocketed, I would say, in the last 3 years, which is the biggest difference for me. Where the fan experience, fan engagement side is always the side of comfort for me. That's the side I fall back on, where I know that I can really own a space, I can own an event, I can own the fan experience and help create that FOMO, where the revenue generation, traditional marketing side is a side that has so much growth and so much opportunity, because that's what translates across colleges and across pro sports as well.
So, on the fan engagement side, how do you perceive fan engagement is different from marketing in general? Is it?
I don't think it is, but I think that's because if you have a good fan engagement and a fan experience, your fans are going to want to keep coming back. And if you're doing your job of marketing traditionally, where you're pushing it on social, you're doing digital campaigns, you're doing email campaigns of bringing general awareness to your fans that there's a basketball game or there's a football game, or you're hosting a preseason football kickoff event. If people don't know about it, they're not going to show up to it. So when you get them into the stadium or into the arena, how are you entertaining them? And I think the two correlate, where you've got to do the traditional marketing on the front end to build the excitement and to get people into your venues. And then on the back end, you're creating that experience where this may have been their first game, or they got tickets from somebody for free through school or whatnot. And you want to make sure you retain them and keep them coming back to your venues.
So how do you do fan engagement at Oklahoma State? How is it different than say UTEP or Penn State where you were? Is it?
I wouldn't say it's different. I think all of the core values of it, where you're wanting to create the best experience, put on the best sports shows when working and collaborating with your external teams. So your creative video, creative graphic design, your broadcast teams. I think working collaboratively is the same across the board. Um, but the difference is kind of your demographics. Like when I was at UTEP, being in El Paso, Texas, you're a border town. You've got a very heavy commuter community. Not many students live on campus. So how are you attracting people to come to your venue? How are you attracting the people that live in that city, that you are the show in town? There's nothing
Mhm.
else around. So why wouldn't you come to the Sun Bowl to come to a football game? Where at Penn State, and similar to here at Oklahoma State, you're in a college town. When the students aren't here in the summer, it is like quiet crickets, the tumbleweeds are rolling across the street. Um, so how do you create that buzz and that generate that interest to want to come to your venues, and getting unique and creative ideas, since there are not pro sports in Stillwater. There were not pro sports in State College. So you do have a lot of people traveling in from here. You're traveling in from Oklahoma City or Tulsa, which is about an hour away, both directions. Like we're right there in the middle of the two of them. Or when I was at Penn State, you're traveling 2.5 hours from Pittsburgh, or an hour and a half from Harrisburg, or 3.5 hours from Philly. So you really want to captivate your fan bases and the people that are coming and have bought tickets, because they are going to have to drive and spend gas. And like, does that mean they're going to stop and get dinner before? Are they going to do dinner at the venue? So you got to factor all those things in when you're kind of creating your experience at your venues. Is it doing different ticket packages? Is it family 4 packs? Is it you include a drink and a concession item? So all those things kind of factor in. But I think the biggest thing that was the difference between the number of places I've been has been location, and kind of what that city or your surrounding areas have to offer.
So when you were at SMU, obviously in the heart of Dallas, you were
Mhm.
actually, competing against pro sports at any given time, at any sport, actually.
Yes.
How did that work for you at SMU?
SMU, I would say, is probably the most unique place I've been at, aside from UTEP, but in different reasons. SMU, they are perceived to have a lot of money, and they are in a very wealthy area of Dallas, which was a challenge of its own. Students weren't super sport focused when I was there, and the time I spent there, it was prior to them going to the ACC. So they were in the American, where basketball was king. Basketball in the American at that time, when you had Cincinnati and UCF and SMU coming off predominant years, and back-to-back conference championships when I was there, it was exciting. And as somebody that works in athletics and had zero ties to SMU and the city of Dallas, I was like, why wouldn't you want to come and watch this exciting basketball? We're in a beautiful venue. The facilities are amazing, but there's always something else to do. And that was the hardest competition we had. And it was unique because you were directly competing with your Dallas Cowboys, your Mavs, but you weren't at the same time. You were more so competing with, they would go and watch University of Texas play instead. You got the Red River rivalry series this
Mhm.
upcoming weekend. I'm going to go to that instead of coming to your game. So it was more so the other college options you had, that students were like, I'm at SMU, I'm going to be in the sorority and fraternity life, and sports are like a farther down my list of priorities.
Mhm.
So I would say that the time that I spent there and to where they're at now has completely shifted. That the buy-in is there. It's exciting. They're fun basketball games, they're fun football games, and winning helps everything. So
Yeah.
if the Cowboys or
Rips
the
all
Mavs
boats.
aren't doing well, then okay, why don't we go watch SMU play? They're right down the street. So
Right. Well, let's back up a little bit. You talked about campaigns, email campaigns, social media campaigns. Who decides that? Are you in the department? Do you work collaboratively with someone? Do you structure your own campaigns? Does someone just do that, you know, in a room somewhere? How does it work for you now at Oklahoma State?
So here at Oklahoma State, we have a director of digital. He works in our office. He's in the marketing department, and he is the king of emails, digital social campaigns, all of that. So we work hand in hand. We'll work together where I'll be the one to submit the artwork and get the graphics, because I know which student athletes my sports want to focus on or what information needs to go on that, and working with our ticket department as well. And we work together on all that, where he's the one that's more so writing the email body. That is not my strong point. I know that's not my strong point, but being able to provide him the information of like, here are my big games. These are the games I want to do. Digital advertising pushes. I'll work to get the artwork. I trust you to create a good caption that's going to catch the eye, because that's his expertise.
Mhm.
That's something that just in working with him, I'm learning more about. Um, so we kind of work hand in hand with that. And then my supervisor here, she's also the one that kind of handles our traditional marketing. So I work with her when I want to run certain digital billboards for some of my bigger um, basketball games, or when I want to run season ticket renewals or on sale for our spring sports. So we all kind of work collaboratively on that. But I'm the one spearheading, like, this is the artwork I need. Here's the sizes I need, and working with our creative team to get that graphic vision that we want and providing the information we need for that. But he's 2 desks down for me. we yell back and forth to each other of, hey, you forgot this promotion for this baseball series. Can you make sure you add that in there? Or this is sponsored. Can you make sure you tag the sponsor in that? So we work super collaboratively. My time at Penn State as
How
well.
important is tagging that sponsor?
You'd be surprised. That's the first thing that they're like, "Oh my gosh, you forgot that."
Right?
And I'm like, "It's fine. I'll take that. I'll take the hit on the hand for that one." At Penn State, it was a little bit different. My first 2 years at Penn State, we had somebody in a digital role there where we worked together and we mapped out like, here's the games I want to advertise. These are the ones I want to put money towards on social. Because you can't do every basketball game. When you have
Mhm.
18 home games, you can't, the money's not there to spend and it's not worth the return on your investment
Mhm.
there. So we worked on that. And then my last 2 years there, we didn't have anybody in that role. And there was a time that I was the one sending out the game day emails and putting those together. So I appreciate that experience of knowing what is actually going into things, and being able to build an email on our Eloqua system and whatnot. I try not to tell Reed, our director of digital, that because then I know that I'm going to actually have to help at some point with that. But um, he's great. It's one of those things that like he knows he's not like the game presentation side, and I'm like I'm not an email writer, so like we work super well together because we balance each other out, and um, he can concoct something great that makes people want to come to our games.
So then nobody works in a vacuum at Oklahoma State. And the way I guess I'm thinking of when we were at UTEP together, you had an office that did ticketing, and that was ticketing, and you didn't touch ticketing, and you didn't talk to ticketing, and you didn't worry about ticketing. And then over time, things changed, and ticketing became something that we all were doing, through the Arctic system, at least on the side of the house that I was on, because it was revenue generation, which is what I was
Mhm.
doing a lot of.
Yep.
But the marketing side, there came a point where we were all working together in marketing and social media. For Oklahoma State now, where you are, the social media side of it, how is it different from marketing, promotions, and fan engagement? How is it different? Is it?
So I would say it's not really different. Um, we do have somebody, the people that run our social accounts and are pushing the buttons on that, they are the ones, they're housed in our communications department. So we do have somebody that runs the social for our main account, and he also does football and helps with men's basketball, where he's the one that's pushing all of that information out. So I try to describe it as like marketing is the middle of a wheel, and everybody from external is one of the spokes of it. So like they're a huge part of how we get people into our venue, because if I don't provide Talon, who's our director of social media, the content he needs to push that there's a ticket package for said basketball game, then nobody's going to purchase that package. So it's connecting all those dots. So our sport to sport accounts are run by the sports information person that is assigned to that sport. So we meet weekly in different pod meetings, is what we call them. So we've got one for basketball where you've got representation from marketing, Reed, our digital guys there, our comms contact is there, representation from the team. So we are all on the same page and we go through that social calendar. And when we got to throw in the promotions, or if we know tickets are renewals are coming up or ending soon, or seat selection is, we can sit there and map it all out, and we know, okay, Rebecca's going to request this graphic and we'll get it to Brian because he's going to be the one that's pushing send on that. So we work super collaboratively to provide that information, because if I'm not providing them information that we're doing a whiteout or we're doing a t-shirt giveaway, then how are our fans going to know? So it's making sure that all those different entities between the marketing office and our digital contact, as well as social media, all know, or comms, which is in turn social media, all know, then everybody can push it out on their different outlets.
So some of the students that we have in the class have experience in sports and working with athletic departments. Some don't. So when you talk about the spoke and you talk about the center of it being marketing and then the externals, explain what you mean by externals because they don't understand
Yep.
externals.
So our external is it's a number of different areas. So it's the marketing department, which in here is marketing and fan engagement, which digital falls underneath that. And then you include creative services. So our creative services department is our creative video, our OPS, which is our broadcast team, which is Orange Power Studios, and then graphic design. They all fall under creative. And then you've got communications. which is the ones that are they're statting your games, they're writing your press releases, they're running the social accounts for the teams. So you've got communications there, and then you've got ticketing. So ticketing here kind of falls under external, kind of doesn't. I would include them under external, which how much we work with them. And then I would also include our development team under external. They're the ones going out and generating revenue for our teams, getting people to donate to the excellence funds or a different number of annual funds, all kinds of stuff, a world that I don't live in. And I props to anybody that can live in that world because that's a lot. Um,
It was a lot.
yes. So I
That's
would say that all those different entities are ones that we work with continually on the external side that and it's always ever changing. And I would even throw event management in there too. They're the ones that you're working with. Hey, I'm doing a t-shirt giveaway this game. I need tables at the gates. I need X, Y, and Z. They're your point of contact that you're sharing your timing sheet with on game days so that they can share it with visiting teams. I would say external is anything that's not directly affecting the student athlete. So your internal side is your academics, your sports medicine, your sports nutrition, like all of
mhm.
those entities. So I always say that marketing's the middle of it because anytime there's a problem, they come to marketing and they're like, well, why didn't this happen? And it's like, well, that's actually ticketing, but that's fine. I'll take the heat for that one.
Good. Oh, and there was something I was gonna ask you about fan engagement and promotion, but we're gonna wrap this up. You talk about the t-shirts a lot, t-shirts like t-shirt giveaways. Does that fall under promotion for you, or does that fall under fan engagement, or is it kind of an amorphous umbrella of things? Because the students will be studying both public relations, promotions, fan engagement. How do you type that? What category do you put that in?
I would
Like
put
the
that
t-shirt giveaways.
in between both, because it's part of the fan experience and you're getting them there and they're partaking in wearing the shirts or like they do at the NBA finals where every shirt's on the chair and it's just that like great visual. And everybody buys in and puts it on when they get there and they're excited and it's something free. So I would put it underneath both because you're trying to entice somebody to come to your venue and whether it's a t-shirt or it's a concessions discount or it's a different giveaway item. I think it falls under the fan engagement piece, which in turn is a promotional piece.
Excellent. So, for these students who are coming out of grad school, what is the advice that you would give them when they're looking for their first position? What do you think?
I think that it starts prior to graduation. I think being able to network and get as much hands-on experience as possible, if it's an unpaid internship, if it's volunteering at a minor league team or something within your surrounding area or a local college or university, I think that's huge. Most people are going to look for what experience you have in sports. A lot of people will say, I want to work in sports, and then you get their resume and there's nothing that has backed up or given any reason that would incline that you want to work in sports. So any experience is good experience, any network is good networking. Um, and it's only going to help you down the long run. I think that when I was coming out of grad school, I expected to have some high flashy role because I had all this experience and I had my master's, but um being open to any opportunity. All opportunities are good opportunities, whether that's a paid internship role as a marketing assistant somewhere, um, a seasonal role as well. If you're trying to go the pro route, I think any opportunity to get your foot in the door is the best way to get into a sports position.
And one last question. Of the people that you have worked with over the years, uh, you and I both know that there is a shelf life, 2 to 3 to 4 years at any position. Is that something that you have seen? And is that something that is normal in the industry for people to change positions every couple of years? And why?
I think as somebody that has been in that role, I have been places. My track record has been 2 years at stops. Penn State was 4 years. I think as long as you're continuing to grow, and if each of those stops are because you're taking on more responsibility and you're gaining more experience, or you're not just chasing the title or the dollar signs. If you're getting to that next step that you're trying to get in your career trajectory, I think that it is okay. And I think it is actually great. I get bored, I get stagnant. I don't like to feel like I'm plateaued. So that's part of the reason why I have moved. But I think that as long as you're showing that you've gone from, like, for example, for me, like I went from a full-time internship position into a director role where I oversaw men's and women's basketball. And then the next position I took, I was the director and I oversaw men's basketball and football. So as long as you're continuing to grow to get to that end goal for you, I think that's what's most important. And if you're leaving for the wrong reasons, most people will know, and deep down, like you'll know that you're not leaving for the right reasons. So, um, I think as long as you're showing growth and you've gotten as much as you can out of a position and you're doing whatever is best to help take you to those next steps. And I think 2, 3 years in a row, that is okay. And a lot of places, your mid majors and whatnot, like they don't expect you to be there forever. Like they want you to grow and they want to brag about you going on to that next spot. So I think that's important to remember.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.